quickly a narrative can shift. See, Dan knows me too. And Shedeur Sanders did just that on Friday night in his first preseason game against the Panthers. Shedeur went 14-23 for 138 yards, throwing 2 TD passes with 0 interceptions and added 19 yards on the ground. He showed poise and composure. Stephen A. Smith, how much stock are you putting into Shedeur after that first preseason performance against the Panthers?
No more stock than I had for him before the game. I'm one of those people that I believe that he should have been one of the top 2 quarterbacks picked. I certainly don't believe he should have fell to the 5th round. I definitely think that he has the potential to be the starter for the Cleveland Browns. So I walked into, this weekend anticipating a performance similar to what he did. 2 touchdown pass, about 138 yards receiving. You're talking about several throws that was for 10 or more air yards, 93 yards. Both touchdowns were for 10 or more yards. So give him props where it's due. As Dan pointed out early in the hour, he played at a faster pace than we're usually accustomed to seeing him. He was impressive in that regard. But I also think that my expectations for him are a byproduct of who he's playing for. Remember, he came in here as a QB4. Well, who were the 1, 2, and 3s? Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel? Give me a break. He damn right he can compete for the starting job. We all know that Joe Flacco is a security blanket. He's somebody that you can come in, you can bring in at any given moment if things are falling apart, injuries or whatever, and he can come in because he's a veteran that's been around for quite a long time and he can do the job. He's proven that a couple of years ago. He's proven that because he's won a Super Bowl championship. So we look at it from that standpoint. Dylan Gabriel, well, a lot of people didn't believe that he was better than Shedeur Sanders in college. Why would we think he's better now? And don't get me started with Kenny Pickett. I wish him well. I'm glad he's in the National Football League, but he's a career backup. That's how he's perceived as. We don't know that about Shedeur Sanders yet. So my expectations for him were to see what I saw, especially since it was going up against the Carolina Panthers. I know we don't want to pay attention to the competition, but the Carolina Panthers are the Carolina Panthers with their starters. So when we get to the 2nd and 3rd strings, what you think I'm going to think of them? And by the way, their starters played the first 2 drives. So I just look at it and I say, hey, I'm pleased with Shedeur Sanders, but I'm not going to sit there and act surprised. I think the brother can play. And all I think he did was remind everybody, yeah, I could play. You might need to think about me a little bit.
The Browns should get Shedeur Sanders starting reps versus starting defenses this week. I don't know who they play in week 2, but he should get reps against the starting defense. Because there is a point, I understand your point, Stephen A., of it didn't happen against a ton of Carolina starters. I do believe that they played them some, so we saw them a little bit early on. But if I'm Cleveland, and I haven't watched camp, but I've read all the reports, and I've seen everything said, and everything out of camp is like he's been very impressive. And then I watched the game, and I just watched how he operated in the game and played and executed and saw things pre-snap and post-snap and moved and threw it. I want to see it against starters because there's just increments that you just want to check off and box off. And he's done it in OTAs and minicamp, and then he's done it in training camp, and now he's done it in preseason 1 with backups versus backups for probably the majority. The next increment is that. And so if I'm the Browns, I'm setting practice up this week where he's going against our starting defense, and I'm going to challenge him. I'm going to Jim Schwartz, our defensive coordinator, going, send some pressures his way. Let's get Denzel locked up on our number 1 receiver. I want to make this difficult for Shedeur Sanders. I want to see how much he can grow this week. Because how much stock are you putting into the performance? I think he was 13-24 or 14-23. There's 3 drops as well. There's a throwaway or 2. So for everything that was presented to him, played fast, comfortable and controlled, pre-snap communication, I can't put much more stock into it than what it is. He played phenomenally. And I want to see it now versus something different and greater.
Stephen A., can we get to the good stuff here? Because this is what I want to know. The preseason's cool, but I want to talk about the regular season. Do you see a way for Shedeur to start week 1?
Yeah. That he continues to improve if what Dan says come to fruition and he gets, some reps with the first unit and he continues to show improvement. Yeah. Because what are your choices? Deshaun Watson is out, his $230 million guaranteed. He's hurt, so he can't play Flacco is a security blanket and a safety valve in case things don't go wrong. So who are you competing with after that? It's Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, and what is it, Tyler Huntley? Am I right, Dan?
Yes, sir.
So I'm like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about here? I mean, think about that. Look at I'm going to repeat this for emphasis, ladies and gentlemen. Deshaun Watson and his $230 million guarantee is out. He's injured. Joe Flacco is a security blanket. So we're talking Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, and Tyler Huntley. Why wouldn't Shedeur Sanders have a chance?
Yeah.
For what? What reason could we possibly sit up there and say, oh, no chance at all?
Dan, are you concerned at all about his development? Because remember, there was a day when, rookie quarterbacks used to watch for 3 years and sit behind a vet.
Sure. I'm always going to be the proponent of sit and watch more often than not. There are some guys that I think rarely are capable of stepping in and surviving, because that's initially what the quarterback needs to do, is survive, then thrive. And so do they have the skills or traits that allow that? Am I concerned about his development? To Stephen A's point, that's the big overarching kind of starting point on all this, is the situation is part of the conversation here. This isn't Arizona with Kyler Murray or Dallas with Dak Prescott, where you have that entrenched starter that's more of a veteran. This is a place that the other guy that you make the case, Joe Flacco should be the starting quarterback because you have such a comfort level that we're going to be okay. And other than that, Kenny Pickett is a question mark, and Dylan Gabriel, I've been a proponent on starting one of the rookies. Shedeur's the healthy one. He's the one that's played. He's the one that's been outperforming in camp, and he played so well in camp. So I would start Shedeur. The way I say it is, you got to prove to me you can't do it. You got to prove to me that you can't, and that's what this would be about. For me,
You're the only one who says that. The rest of the world has proved to me that you can.
Yeah, but
situation.
But he hasn't. Again, we're not in camp every day, but this is where, when you hear the stories of, man, they're throwing everything at him, this is the week you do it. You throw everything at him to see how he handles it. He played well. Does he feel himself? Does he come out and think that, I've arrived? You just want to see how he responds to that stuff. And so I look at the situation and I go, the way that the offense is structured, this is an offense schematically that has taken lesser physically talented quarterbacks and gotten them to play above their skis. This isn't a knock on any of these guys. Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy, Matt Schaub. These aren't guys that are physically remarkable, but they play unbelievable football. Mm-hmm. I think Shedeur can do that. That's why everyone said first, early, second-round talent.
All right, let's leave it there. Stephen A., I got a quick take for you. Let's get it here. So yesterday, A'ja Wilson became the first player in WNBA history to drop 30 or more points.